afternoon. Thank you for inviting us to present our idea for a new game to you. During this presentation, we plan to provide you with the following information about it: its anticipated audience and their skill level, the type of game it is, along with the interactions that the players will have, as well as its rules and limits. And finally, the platform we feel it should be built on, as well as the tools and the resources that will be necessary to do so. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to present Fort Chess! I'm sure you're probably wondering why we chose chess for our presentation. First off, it's one of the world's most popular board games, and we believe changing it to an electronic format and more modern will increase its popularity. There's more than 5 million players worldwide and has a growing interest in chess. It's played by the young, the old, and those in various careers. For example, for business leaders, Bill Gates, Lawrence Ellison, and David Cohen play. John Lennon, Frank Sinatra, Beethoven, Bob Dylan, and Salvador Dali are just a few of the artists and musicians that play. Movie stars Will Smith, Marilyn Monroe, Ben Affleck, Nicolas Cage, Paul Newman, and Bill Cosby play. Nobel Prize winners Albert Einstein, William Yeats, and John Steinbeck. Writers William Shakespeare, Isaac Asimov, Charles Dickens, and Lewis Carroll play. Sports stars Kobe Bryant, Will Chamberlain, Larry Bird, and John McEnroe are players. And Al Gore, Abraham Lincoln, Jimmy Carter, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Winston Churchill play. There's several benefits to playing chess. It develops decision-making, problem-solving skills. It develops critical thinking, analytical, and logic. It improves concentration, memory, and self-control. It improves your imagination and creativity. And lastly, it inspires self-motivation, self-esteem, and confidence.
Now, in thinking about the game of Fort Chess, one of the questions you might ask is, who will your target audience be? Everyone. The origins of chess can be found as early as the 6th century AD. It has come a long way since then, and many things have changed about it. But a game with such a history has no doubt created quite a following. There are millions of people playing chess worldwide. We are taking that game that is loved by the world and recreating it. Our game will revolutionize the game of chess. What's great about it is there isn't much to learn. Most people already have the basic concept of how chess is played, and you don't have to learn a completely new game. The market is there for the game of chess, and anyone who's ever played chess will want to try the new version of it. When thinking about the skill levels needed for this game, there aren't many. It's a great game, and most everyone already knows how to play it. The standard chess game is easily taught to anyone who wants to play it. The limitations of chess is that only 2 people can play it at a time. With our version, you can have more people playing and less people standing by and watching. Now you can play as a family online. You and more than one friend can play. You can consider the league play just like bowling, golf, and pool, and you can introduce a handicap system. With this system, any level of player can play and will be able to join and compete in the tournaments and leagues. Now I'll go over player interactions. In Fort Chess, we've designed a few different ways for players to interact with it. One of the ways will be for a straight-on human versus human player. You will have the ability to have up to 2, 3, or 4 human players all playing at the same time. These can either be as every man for himself style, or it can be set up to be a team strategy with a 2-on-2 play. The other method will be a human player versus AI. With this play, you can have any number of human and AI, up to 4 players, again as either every man for himself or as a team of 2-on-2. When playing with the AI, there will be a level of how intelligent you can make the AI. With this, you'll be able to make the game harder or easier, depending on your own skill level and how challenging you want to make the game.
Our plan is to bring chess into the 21st century as an electronic-based multiplayer strategy game that uses the same moves as traditional chess, but we're modernizing it to challenge today's gaming audience. It can be played by 2, 3, and 4 players. There'll be more spaces on the board, 160 squares to be exact. We also plan on making it virtual world and online compatible. There will be 3 modes of play. The first has the victor taking over the remaining pieces of the checkmated player as additional pieces to use. The second sets the defeated player's remaining pieces as obstacles that the other players have to work around. And finally, the defeated player's pieces will be removed from the board, which is the standard traditional play format. We believe that one of the key selling points to this game is going to be the tournament league play, for both online and offline individuals. This will involve keeping track of the values of each of the pieces captured. Pawns will be 1 point, rooks with 5, knights are 3, bishops are 3, queens are 10s, and then every checkmated king is 20. Tournament play can be accomplished in 3 ways. The first is 2, 3, or 4 player mode, which point totals will be saved and scored over time. The second is online mass multiplayer gaming with score champion rankings. And finally, with the team rankings, where point totals for all the games played by team members are summed up to create team rankings.
Hello, I'm Nick Offit. I'm going to be presenting our group's recommendation for the platform that the project is to be developed on. I'm also going to cover the reasons behind our decision for the platform, the reasons we did not choose the competing options, as well as what these both do to affect the choice of required development tools. Now, we chose for the development platform the PC. This was chosen in large part due to the already present experience at software development in the company. We figured that it would be best to keep the number of new required learning experiences to a minimum during the project. Another factor was that most of our present equipment and tools could be repurposed for the project's needs. It also gave us the ability to explore options for sale that did not require creating any physical media at all, thus reducing costs and avoiding potential entanglements with pricing agreements with physical store locations. Our competing options were such things as smartphone apps, traditional consoles, and handheld gaming devices. We chose against these for fairly similar reasons. The big one, of course, is that it would require learning a new environment, either technical requirements for the system or possible coding and language requirements, on top of dealing with the learning experience of game development. More specifically, in the case of smartphones, the multiple OSs across the several different varieties of smartphones would have required the development of the game more or less for as many times equal to the number of platforms that we wanted to carry it on, increasing the overall development costs of the project. In the case of consoles, the problems were similar, both due to the required learning experience of the physical hardware, the input devices associated with them, as well as whatever code needs to be coding languages the devices require, but also avoids us entangled in the licensing agreements inherent with such systems. Working on these systems requires a licensing agreement with the console or handheld's manufacturer in order to be allowed to produce the game. The licensing agreement, an example of which can be found in the references at the end of this presentation, covers not only the legal requirements of the agreement between us, the third-party developer, and the manufacturers of the system, but as well as such things as pricing schedules and the required amounts that we would have to purchase of physical media of the product in order to actually get it to market, as well as the fact that the manufacturer would have final say on whether or not we'd be allowed to whether or not the game would meet the needed requirements to be produced. This, by choosing not to go with a console or handheld system, we avoided such licensing agreements and the costs associated with them, both the inherent ones, such as the licensing fees, the production of any physical media associated with the game, as well as reducing potential marketing fees by requiring us not to just convince someone to buy our product, but to get them up out of their home and into a store location to purchase it. The secondary effect that the licensing agreement has is that it also requires what sort of development tools we use. It would require working out of that company's development tools, leading to yet another learning experience during this process, which would inevitably cause delays. As I have just mentioned development tools, we shall talk about what our current approach's perspective needs are. Luckily enough, most of our current development tools will probably work for this project. Most of the back-end coding requirements are likely to remain the same. The company may, based on the exact final requirements, need to obtain the licenses for a suite of graphics program and possibly systems to run it, though that remains to be seen upon the final requirements of the product. One of the overall view of this is that we've chosen PC because it provides us the most flexibility with requiring the fewest cost outlays and reduces the overall risk level of the project as a whole. Thank you.
Now that you've had a chance to hear our presentation, I'd like to summarize everything for you. The game of Fort Chess in a nutshell it's similar to regular chess, just with some obvious added elements. What we have done is we've taken the game of chess and added to it to meet the ever-growing need of new and improved in the 21st century. With this version, you'll be able to play with up to 4 people. Fort Chess allows for a bigger and better league and tournament style of play. Because of the already existing world of computerized chess, Fort Chess is easily made for the PC. Also with that, we also know that the existing technologies and tools can be used to create our game.